Welcome to Larry's Library, and welcome to a new Top 10 Tuesday. This is the first Top 10 Tuesday of 2025, so naturally, we're going to look back at my top 10 favorite reads of 2024. So, first, let's take a look at some of my stats from last year. And probably the easiest and best way to do that is to look at the stats from Goodreads. So, as you can see here, I read 141 books last year. Now, to break that down, Goodreads doesn't do that, unfortunately, but I can do it. It's not that hard. But first, let me clarify something. The 141 books is correct. I had a book entry for everything I read last year, but the page count here of 213 average is probably way off, because a good number of the books that I read, the listings in Goodreads were very incomplete. Some of them didn't even have a page count on there. And if you've ever used Goodreads, it's very fun to use, but it's also frustrating because the system is sorely limited. There's no easy way for a user to enter missing data, not even a missing cover. It sucks in that regard, but I digress. Breaking it down, of the 141, about 52 of these were single issue comics, because I've set a goal for myself to get through my final, it's about a short box of single issues over there that I have yet to read, because I have largely, switched over to collected editions. But I still have a few single issues that I need to read, and so I'm committing to at least one a week. So I figure about 52 of these, and I've been pretty good about it. So 52 of these were single issues, and about 5 to 6 were prose books. Now, these prose books were mostly novels, but there was a couple that were not novels, like the one you can see here in this screenshot. My first review of the year was the collected works of Jim Morrison. But anyway, so that leaves exactly 84 of the 141 were collected editions, were graphic novels, were collected editions, comic books in trade paperback form, or more largely for me, they were hardcovers, omnibuses, oversized editions, etc. I wish Amazon could improve Goodreads, but it doesn't look like they want to spend any money on it whatsoever. It's a wonder it's still free to use. So I guess we can be happy about that. But it is a good place to share your reads with other people, and you can follow other people, they can follow you, and it's kind of fun. And you can challenge yourself each year. And so for 2025, I have moved my challenge up to 150. I had it set for 100 last year, and I knocked that right out. Now, on to the countdown. At number 10, I have Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. Now, I had seen the movie, of course, the very famous Humphrey Bogart, John Huston film from 1941, one of my favorite films of all time. And I have seen it, I don't know how many times, probably at least 10 times, and I watch it periodically still yet. Just love it. Yeah, it's just great. I can't get enough of Bogart's Maltese Falcon. But I had never read the novel until 2024, until last year. So this one was first published in 1930, so, there's a lot of cultural things in here that are not appropriate, in 2025, and probably never should have been appropriate. But regardless, I thought it was a great read. I don't know if I would feel the same way had I never seen the film. It may not be as appealing to me because, once you've seen a movie several times and you love it like this, then you read the book afterwards, you can't help but see the characters as the characters from the film rather than as they just existed on the printed page, had you never seen the movie. So, it sort of colors your whole outlook on the story is when I'm seeing and hearing those words in Humphrey Bogart's voice, when it's that character talking. So when Sam Spade is in the scene, I'm seeing and hearing Humphrey Bogart. You know, Same thing with Peter Lorre and the other great characters or the other great actors that played these characters. But either way, I really enjoyed it. I could not scan this one myself. This is a stock photo I pulled from somewhere, but that is the edition I have because it's a nice little hardcover. But when they have a foil cover like that, they do not play nice with my scanner. But that's a pretty good shot I got of it there. And that's the version I got. Loved it. at number 9, I have Dracula by Bram Stoker. Now, I had read Dracula once before, I think when I was a kid. I mean, so it was a lifetime ago, But the version I read in 2024 was this edition here, with this beautiful cover by Jay Lee, and it is also illustrated by Jay Lee. There's not enough illustrations in there to suit me. I mean, because I love Jay Lee. But I did really, really love this. And this one kind of suffers the same problem for me, if you want to call it a problem, I guess, is that I so much love the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula movie. And so when I'm reading this, I'm seeing the actors in my head that were in that, because that movie version is very close to the book. It really is. Perfect version. If you haven't seen the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, go check that out. But yeah, so at number 9 is Dracula, the novel. At number 8, in my top 10 favorite reads of 2024, is the first comic book, and this one is iZombie, the Omnibus. So this collects the entire iZombie comic book series, and in one big, fat, beautiful volume, and I loved it. This omnibus, it also made me a fan of Michael Allred art, because I got to say, I was not a fan before this. I mean, I had seen some of his stuff before, but I never really had read a full comic book of Allred art, and I just didn't get it. I didn't really connect with it. I guess I really didn't give it a chance, and this made me do that, and I loved it. So I am a Michael Allred fan now. At number 7, I've got the Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 3. Now, I read the first, I read 2, 3, and I think 4 of the original FF comics in omnibus form. And I really could have just probably picked any of those. But I think 3 has a slight edge for me in my enjoyment, and it was a really, really fun read. This one collects Fantastic Four 61 through 93, plus annuals 5 through 7, all written by Stan Lee, with art and some plotting, of course, by the legendary Jack Kirby, mostly inked by the great Joe Sennett. And yeah, this was a fun read. It has the Kree, it has the Inhumans, as you can see on this awesome cover. Adam Warlock's first origins are in here, if I'm remembering right. Silver Surfer, Galactus, and more. It is just Fantastic Four goodness. Silver Age silliness at times, but still really fun. Had a good time with this one. Highly recommend it. And that's why it's number 7 on my top 10 favorite reads of 2024. At number 6, I have Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, the deluxe hardcover. This is part of the Universal Monster series by Image, and I did post a review of this one yesterday, in fact, Monday. But this was one of the last books I read in 2024. I didn't read it in 2025. I just didn't get the video up until 2025. But I've been sick. Bear with me. I don't know if you can tell it in my voice. I'm still sick. But I thought I wanted to get this video done and up for the first Tuesday of 2025. If I waited till I was over this sickness, it would have been a week or more from now. Who knows? I mean, this is dragging on for me. But, I'm trying. Yeah, I went into this reading this one with really low expectations. I really was not familiar with the writer or the artist, and I did not think the Dracula Universal Monster series was as perfect as fandom seemed. Most other critics seem to think that one was just perfect, and I had a few issues, but I still loved it, but not as much as the rest of the comic community seemed to. So I went into this with some low expectations, and it kind of blew me away. I just love this. If you want to know more details about this and see some of the art from it, check out the review I posted yesterday. I'll put a link above. But yeah, this made it all the way to number 6 in the countdown. So yeah, I was really impressed by this. In the middle position, right at number 5, I have The Sixth Gun. Now, I'm talking about the entire saga. I'm counting it as one slot. Hey, it's my countdown. I could do it, right? Even though it was 6 or 8 trades. It was a lot of trade paperbacks. My daughter, Kristen, the comic slayer, had gifted me the entire series in trade paperback form, even autographed even. So, yeah. So I did read it in that form, and I loved it. This is by writer Cullen Bunn and artist Brian Hurt, whom I was not familiar with his art before. Instant fan after reading this. This was just an awesome series. In a way, I hate to see it end, but it has a really nice ending too. And I think I did a review of that. Yeah, I did a review of this one too. I'll post it too. I don't know how many I can fit in there, but I'll try to put the link to that too if you haven't seen that. Check out my review of it. But yeah, it made it all the way to this middle slot, number 5. At number 4, I've got subgenre. Now I have the deluxe hardcover of this, and I read it for, and this collects a mini. It was a 4-issue miniseries, and it's collected in this nice deluxe hardcover. Is the version I have, and this is by writer Matt Kent, and the art is by Wilfredo Torres. Yeah, I believe that's it. And I read it for Omnidog's Vault's book club, and I'll try to link it up as well in case you missed that one. It was a good one. Yeah, this book was so good. I mean, this thing, it sounds really silly, but I feel like this was written for me. I mean, because it checks every box for me. It really does. It has the concept of a multiverse and how everything is related, and there's a version of everything out there, and there's a version of you that chose other paths, and all that's right in my wheelhouse, and this story is just that. And it also, it has the pulp detective bit, which checks a box for me. It has the sword swinging barbarian, another box checked. It has monsters. It has even a femme fatale. It has a dystopian Blade Runner like future, another check. I mean, this thing, it just it checks them all, and it does it so well. It's much deeper than you might first imagine it to be, and you keep reading, and there are layers after layers. This thing is great, and the ending is nice too. So that's why it made it all the way to number 4 in my top 10 favorite reads of 2024. So at number 3, I have Richard Corbin's Den Saga. And this one isn't exactly finished yet. I think there's at least one more hardcover to collect it all. But I read the first 4 in 2024. I believe that's right. First 4 volumes of the Dark Horse Deluxe hardcover collection of Richard Corbin's Den. Like a lot of people probably, my first exposure to Den, the character and the concepts, was in the, the 1981 heavy metal animated movie. I had never read much of the original heavy metal magazine, which of course where this came from. And so I had not read much of the comic book at all. I was just a fan of Corbin and his just wild and weird artwork, the sort of airbrush style that no one was doing before Corbin did it, And so this was something I, always had in the back of my head I'd like to read one day. And then when Dark Horse brought these out, and I think it's Ricardo Villarrubia might be his name. I didn't have that in my notes, damn it. But the colorist here lovingly restored all of this art as best he could to get it prepared for modern printing. Because the things Corbin did when he did Den were extraordinary and were very manual and is very difficult to duplicate in the digital age. But and with modern printing techniques too. So it was a lot of work to get it as presentable as it is here. And yeah, I just loved it. I mean, on the one hand, on the surface level, Corbin's Den, especially the first, couple arcs of the story, has a lot of nudity and a lot of strange, incredible proportions with the nudity, and it just seems juvenile. But it gets better. It gets better and better, and it has such an otherworldly nature to it and a mishmash of fantasy and science fiction and all of these other genres, and adventure and war film even is kind of included later. You see a lot of dogfights and things in the later parts of this. It's just really something, and the colors are crazy. I mean, it's sort of psychedelic at times. It is just a wild, wondrous adventure that I just had a lot of fun with. I really did. More than I thought I would. I mean, I thought I would like it just because of the weird art, and I think it's safe to call it weird. But it is very detailed and beautiful. But I stayed for the story and the characters and the wild directions it went in that I had no idea was going to happen. And I can't wait for them to finish it. I know there's at least one more volume, and I'm going to get it. And so this one, it stays with you too. You think about it for a long time afterwards. And so that's why it made it all the way to number 3 on my countdown. At number 2 is Lord of the Flies, the graphic novel. Now this one is by M.A. de Jong, the same awesome artist and writer that did Days of Sand. She did this one, and this one's still not released in the U.S. officially, but you can get the UK edition and read it in English if that's what you speak. And I need to do a review of this one. And if you haven't checked that out, I'll try to link it up as well. Again, don't know how many I can fit there. I may have to put some down in the comments. I'll pin something there with all these. But yeah, I had never read the prose novel that this is based on, and I had never seen the film adaptation either. It's a very well-known story, and the themes have been explored in countless other media across time, since this came out in, I think, the 50s, the original novel. But anyway, so yeah, I was really looking forward to this, and Kristen did get me this for Christmas, and I read it and just was blown away. It is so good. The art is beautiful. The colors are vibrant, and they just pop right off of the page. Yeah, this is a great one. If you haven't read Lord of the Flies at all, you're in for a treat. And even if you haven't read the graphic novel, yeah, you are. This nearly pushed to number one. It really did. And I had to think long and hard, and a lot of these books in this countdown could have changed positions quite easily. And even when I was assembling this, getting the graphics ready and everything, I thought, oh, wow, should that be ahead of that, or should that, and I actually did a little bit of swapping all the way up to the last minute here. But yeah, so this is number two. For all of the things I read in 2024, this is number two easily. But at number one, my favorite read of 2024 was Fear Agent. And I know this is kind of an older one. I mean, it's, old in the sense that it came out quite a few years ago. But I had just never read it. And Fear Agent, I have it in the 20th anniversary, ginormous hardcovers. It takes 2 volumes to cover it all. And, of course, this is written by Rick Remender with art mostly by Tony Moore and Jerome Opeña. And it's great. It's a pulp sci-fi adventure that spans a character's lifetime, and wow, so much fun. Just a rollicking science fiction adventure, fun time for sure. And it's been months since I read it, and I still think about it. This thing, like I said about Den, this one stays with you too. So yeah, if you haven't picked up Fear Agent, I think it's still available. Get it, get the big giant books, and you'll love it. And I certainly did, and it is my favorite read of 2024. So that is my list. That is my top 10. If you want, you can compare it to the top 10 I did about halfway through the year of 2024, where I said my top 10 favorite reads so far. You can see what things were pushed off and what order changed. I'll link that one up too if you want to check it out. Compare and contrast. Hey, I made it through with a minimal amount of coughing and sneezing. So I got to chop those out and get this thing done and up for tomorrow. So, hope you enjoyed taking a look at this. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. Subscribe if you haven't already. Helps the channel out big time. Helps keep me motivated to keep going with this. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.